I am recording this to document what happened to me March 2nd and 3rd, 2009. I must do this to have a record of the occurrence. I remember I had been diagnosed with an inner ear infection that came from a sinus infection that went to the inner ear and it went to the lining of my brain. So I was told. But I will now convey what happened to me. I remember opening up my eyes, I thought, and there was nothing but sheer darkness, no light around. And I remember being lateral, laying flat, but I wasn't laying on anything. I wasn't on anything. It was almost like I was suspended in air. And then all of a sudden there was a jerk. Something had hold of my ankles and had hold of my legs, and it was jerking me profusely, jerking me. And the jerking motion, even though I didn't feel any drag from being drawn, I felt a jerking, and as I was being jerked, I was jerked down, and being jerked down continuously. And all I could do was fight, because if I knew that if I would have let this, whatever was pulling me, I would have surely been drawn into the very bowels of hell. So it continued to jerk, it continued to jerk. And I remember, I felt no pain at that time, but it was pulling and it was being pulled down. And I do remember that as it pulled, then I heard a voice. That wasn't a voice, it was three voices in one. And I said, "Oh God." And then the three voices in one corrected me and said, "Yahweh." And it continued to pull, it continued to jerk, it continued to pull me downward and downward and downward. And then those three voices in one, I heard the three voices in one say, "I am." And the first time it said, "I am," there was light, a little light. And I looked and I saw what was pulling me. And that was the ugliest creature I had ever seen in my life. And the only way I can describe it was it looked like a broke-necked chicken. It looked prehistoric. And from the very top of its head was like antlers, as every time he pulled, his neck would jerk forward, and he would jerk me, and those antlers would move. And as he pulled, I continued to fight, I continued to fight. And then I heard a second, "I am." And then I looked to my left, and it was like it was like a hill, and on that hill there was crosses, three crosses, but it wasn't three crosses, it was three crosses in one. And I didn't understand that. But as I was being pulled, profusely pulled, this hand, my left hand, was being held by something. But it was a touch that I had felt before. That touch had love in it. I felt the love, the touch. I knew that touch, but I couldn't in the moment figure out what it was. And again another jerk, again another jerk, and then I heard the three voices in one say again, "I am." And then when it said "I am" for the second time, I looked, and there behind the crosses, it was like a theater screen. that was showing me all that I had dreamed about and what visions I had been given over the last 36 years. It showed me what God wanted me to do. It showed me what God told me to do. All of this was in front of me. I had not done any of it. But it kept pulling. And I knew if it pulled me down, I was definitely going to be lost. But it still held me. That's something, that hand still held me on the left. And as it pulled, the grip got harder on this hand. It didn't hurt. But then I heard the three voices in one, as it had corrected me when I said, "Oh God," and it said, "No, Yahweh." I heard the voices again, as it says, as Ezekiel was, you are. As Isaiah was, you are. As all of the prophets before you, or those before you, or the messengers before you, you are. And I said, "Oh God." And again, the three voices in one said, Yahweh.